Hi there. Happy Saturday to you. John James here. Not typically here on a weekend doing things, but I wanted to give you the heads up. If you have not seen a certain movie yet, I think it's time. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, whether you're left, whether you're right, whether you're Democrat, whether you're Republican, whether you're Libertarian. I think it's time you understood the truth about January 6th, that the media has been lying to you about every single day on CNN and MSNBC. It's nonstop insurrection. This was not an insurrection. Far from it. Did you see the millions of people surrounding the Capitol? I'm not talking about 300, 400, 500. I'm not talking about the people the media showed you inside the Capitol building. I'm talking about the millions who surrounded the Capitol. Did you know Antifa was there? Did you know there is video of them changing out of their black into Trump MAGA wear so they could blend in? Do you know that they instigated some of it? This is all available if you care to do the research and know the truth. And we're going to make it easier for you. Two people, Nick Searcy, who you may know from the movies, and Chris Burgard, who is a great movie maker, were in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, filming, and they did a documentary. And this is one you must see. Now, the link is going to be on all of the video clips I'm about to play for you. And it's also at the bottom of this screen right now, and it will be in the comments section, so you can click on it on Facebook and on YouTube. So please, if you get a chance, do. It's $10. That's all it costs, and you own this movie. And it's worth seeing, and it's worth showing your friends. Understand what really went on. And please, please stop being a lemming. Stop echoing what the media and the government want you to echo. Learn for yourself. Be a critical thinker. Marxism is on its way if we let this continue. One of the ways Marxism is coming to us, as is pointed out in the movie, is the change in the language, using modifiers to redefine words. For example, instead of something being correct, which means it is right, it is now politically correct, which means it's not necessarily right, but it meets the preferred narrative. Here's a piece from the movie that talks all about the modifiers and what is happening to our language as Marxism moves in. This is from Capital Punishment, the movie.
Insert a modifier, typically before the word, that will change the meaning of the word so completely as to literally turn it 180 degrees. I think every decent person would acknowledge that it's important to be correct. But since the woke supremacists are never right, they're never correct, they insert the modifier politically before the word correct and change its meaning 180 degrees. It no longer, being correct no longer means comporting to fact and reason. Yeah. It now means comporting only to the political needs of the supremacy. Most of us, most good, decent people would recognize justice as being, let's say, the closest possible wedding of outcome to behavior. They insert the modifier social before the word justice, and it changes the meaning 180 degrees. It no longer means a appropriate outcome to an individual's choices. Mm-hmm. You're now being judged based on things that you had no choice over, that you had it was not your behavior. And so they've changed the very meaning of justice by inserting the modifier.
Disinformation, extremism, misinformation, state-sponsored narratives, right? All of these things are terms of art used by the color revolutionaries. They've been used across the world, and the only difference is we're now seeing them employed here in the United States on the domestic population.
And this is what happens. It starts in other countries, and because we are headed toward a globalist agenda with John Kerry and Joe Biden and the administration, Our freedom is at risk. Our liberty is at risk. Everything is to become more and more global. And the issues they bring up are not real issues. They are all lies. They are all lies to scare you, to strike fear into you and me, and to move the needle further and further toward the left. Listen.
Any of the issues in the last 5 years, it's not about Russia collusion. It's not about systemic racism. It's not about police brutality. It's not about climate change. It's not about global warming. It's not about fill in the blank. What it's about is control of the state and power.
John Sullivan, who is a Black Lives Matter Antifa leader.
We got cops. You see the cops way behind us?
Black Lives Matter. We got Rip Trump out of that office right over there.
John Sullivan sells on his website a bunch of Black Bloc riot gear.
You cannot have anything that they would be able to come back and identify you at the end of the day.
John Sullivan is in the middle of the January 6th event. He came there with his girlfriend, Jade Sacker. While they're inside the Capitol, John Sullivan is screaming and telling everyone to burn it down, burn this place down. He's inciting the violence.
We gotta burn them. We gotta get this shit burned. Let me through. I got a knife. I got a knife.
He told the police to stand down.
He wants you to go home. I'm recording, and there's so many people. It's just they're gonna push their way up here.
And then when the police left, he told the crowd, go for it, go for it.
I want you to go home. Go, let's go.
Right, you can see this on his own video, agitation, which, by the way, directly led to the death of Ashley Babbitt.
Go, let's go. Get this shit.
An insurrection with white supremacists. That's the narrative. All lies. Right after that scene, Ashley Babbitt was murdered by Robert Byrd, a Capitol police officer who clearly, if you watch, and it's quite graphic, there was no warning verbally issued. There was no threat to Robert Byrd. It looked as though he were hell-bent on shooting somebody. And he shot a former U.S. Air Force veteran wrapped in a flag with no weapon who was walking along with the crowd. This is outrageous. And Robert Byrd, he's still on the job. He didn't have to answer for his crime. And what about the people who the moms and dads and children who just went to be a part of it, who weren't insurrectionists? Nobody had weapons. Nobody who was there to support Donald Trump had weapons anyway. They were just there to be part of a patriotic protest. So what happened to them? Watch this.
I ran to the front door, and they're repeating.
You have a special search warrant for the property. Come out with your hands up.
And so my front security door, the screen opens up towards the street. I didn't want them to get too excited, so kind of was inching my long arms out.
And they're out here like this.
Yeah.
They're just
got my hands out. And as soon as I step out, I hear a flashbang go off. So I hear boom. Then they told me to come out, put your hands up, start yelling contact front. So about right here, I had a whole bunch of red dots all over my chest. I have red dots all over my chest.
So that's the sights, the laser sights. Yeah.
Rifles, yes. And told me to step out, turn around slowly, put my hands behind my back with my palms facing outward,
right,
and then walk back to the sound of their voice and kneel down into my driveway where they grabbed me and handcuffed me. And he's all, is there anyone else in the house? I said, yes, my 12-year-old daughter. Guys, please go easy on my daughter. They called my daughter out, and I see her come out, and she's got some little pajama shorts and a t-shirt.
Faye, how were you feeling at this point? I mean, were you scared? Did you know what was going on? Or
just put my shoes on and went out there, and just a bunch of bright lights were in my face, and they were like, it's okay. And I'm like, you call this okay?
And then there was this church-going family who were in Washington, D.C. They, too, were raided.
Said she heard them before I heard them. I'm a very heavy sleeper. But what woke me up was a concussion grenade. Those things are really loud. Once I get into the area where the living room and the kitchen opens up, another flashbang went off on the side of my house, and I could see the silhouettes of about 10, at least 10 on the side of my house. You could just see all the tactical gear and everything. When I got to the door, they called me by Tony. Tony, this is the FBI, open up the door. And I opened up the blinds, and I was like, oh. And my dog was right next to me, and he was going crazy. And I said, let me secure my dog, hold on. I said, if you don't open the door, we're gonna break in the front door. And I'm thinking, okay, if they take me away, I don't wanna leave this big hole in front of my house for my family.
Right.
At that point, the back sliding glass door breaks. They come in through that. And so I'm like, okay, they mean business. And I wasn't able to grab my dog, and I opened up the front door, and he went running out. And I said, don't shoot my dog, don't shoot my dog, he's a good dog.
How long did it take your dog to come back?
A week.
So you got woken up in the midst of all this too?
I was confused, and my hearing was starting to come back, and it sounded like war.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy. There was flashes and just the loudest bangs on the door. It was like almost shaking the house. My dad was at the door, and he was about to open it, and I went to grab my dog. Before I could grab my dog, they handcuffed me.
They handcuffed you?
Yes.
Wow. Are we living in a police state yet? No. But it sure looks like we're headed that way, doesn't it? Nobody on the left, nobody on the right, nobody in the center, nobody who is a normal, regular, middle-class citizen or lower-class citizen is going to be safe. This is where we headed. This is the globalist agenda. They have been moving ever so incrementally toward it. And now they see a timeline, and they are trying to speed things up. They are using COVID. They are using climate change. They are using open borders. They are using everything at their disposal as means to an end. Watch this movie. Wake up, America. There are graphic, I will tell you, there are graphic scenes of Ashley Babbitt as she falls to the floor, bleeding. Her husband has a large role in it, her widower, and the very sad tale of what happens to Ashley's beloved dog. Capital Punishment, the movie. Nick Searcy, Chris Burgard. It's a must-watch if you're American. $9.99. Watch it today. Watch it with your family. You need to see it. This is not fiction. This is real life. And it's coming to a town near us. Don't doubt that. Click on the link that you find, the bit.ly link, right on the screen now, and watch Capital Punishment. I'm doing this because I was so moved by the movie, I think everybody should see it. I'm not trying to sell anything here. I just want you to see this movie. It may just wake you up, if you aren't already awake, that is. Have a great Saturday. I'm John James. I will see you Monday following Mike Violet on Freedom's Pep Rally. Have a great weekend.